Hey everybody, this is Tim. Hope y'all doing well today. Here's let's switch it up a little bit. Um, Instead of the upper level water vapor loop, I wanted to do the long range and long wave infrared output here. This shows how I hold the cloud tops, and you can see what's left of the system through the upper Midwest is now diving into the Central Texas, and with more flooding rain and the leftover convection with the surface trough that's along the East Coast, that and the convection part of that, a lot of it's moving offshore, but some of it still remains. And there's some leftover stuff here in the southeast. Stuff meaning just kind of cloudy, get some little rain, but not a lot going on, and some other convection southeast and northwest all the way up into Canada there. The radar kind of shows that here. This is a national radar. We had a flood watch, and we have some more flooding concerns. See the flood watch here. More flooding concerns today in the northeast, and you can see that convection a little bit down here in the south. And we have more flooding going on in Texas, flood watches. Let's hope that this doesn't persist. I really hope it doesn't, because they've had more than their share of rain in the past week or so. We have some more. There's a special weather statement. There's a flood watch going on down here in this area. Hopefully that won't persist for too long. We have some air quality problems around the Denver area, probably just due to stagnant air and patchy fog. Some heat advisories, extreme heat warning, red flag warning, heat advisory, red flag warning, and a bunch of different marine advisories along the coast and along the coastal area of the mid-Atlantic. Switching back to the water vapor real quickly. Upper level ridge situated over desert southwest with a huge complex of storms going offshore of Mexico there, Baja Peninsula. Some convection in the Gulf of Mexico, but nothing tropical to worry about. I kind of wonder if this may be shunted northward again in the flow. We'll just have to see. A surface trough along the east coast here is what is kind of the focus for convection. Kind of like looks like a really thin ridge here, but there's some troughiness that's embedded in there. And it looks like a frontal boundary in the middle of the country here, and some upper level features going through the flow. So as you can see, here's the daily maximum temps over the next several days. You can see today it's going to be really hot up here in northern tier of the states, all the way into Colorado, pretty much the whole nation except for the northeast, where the Great Lakes, where rain and thunderstorms will modulate the temps quite a bit. It's going to be hotter up here in the northern tier than it is down in the south. As time goes on, it moderates some with high temps. It's still in the hundreds in the middle of the country. Slowly cooling off over time. You can see desert southwest is still really hot. But, it's still hot, but not unheard of this time of year. Still, most of the nation is going to be the 80 or 90s, which, and down in the southeast, where I live, be close to 100 degrees about a week from now. That's pretty hot. As far as the tropics go, week 2 outlook for the from the Climate Prediction Center highlights an area in Gulf of Mexico with a 20% possibility of tropical development. This is a little bit backing up a little bit. There's no tropical development expected in the next 7 days in either the Eastern Pacific or Atlantic Basin, and so everything's pretty quiet for right now. But again, this outlook for 2 weeks out, 20% probability of something developing in the Gulf. And I think I showed you this model before, this model output. You see how there's some dots in the Gulf of Mexico there for experimental model and their next gen from Google AI. The European model also shows this possibility. Got a low probability 2 weeks out, really hard to tell, or 7 days out. Excuse me. So we'll just have to see if all the models converge on a solution out. That's the 19th, so 10 days. Let's back up a little bit. Yeah. So we'll see if anything comes about for that. As far as the upper level flow goes in the coming days, this is the flow at the mid levels of the atmosphere. You can see high pressure out west with a trough. Looks like a trough moving on shore through the flow. Kind of the high pressure system breaks down, and so does that trough. It kind of de-amplifies as a trough over Canada, amplifies some. And this is likely, these areas are probably going to be the focus for severe weather on Friday as they move east. Over time. This upper level flow, the way it is this time of year, is pretty far north, so it's not uncommon for it to be this far north, and most of the weather is in the northern tier states or in Canada, at least the substantial severe weather, things like that. See the trough kind of lifts out, and the flow becomes rather flat with perturbations in the flow kind of meandering through the northern tier of the country, which possibly by next Wednesday, a week from now, if this comes to pass, there could be another severe weather potential along the northern tier states. That's a week out, really hard to say. As far as precip goes, this is just kind of a broad brush of what the global model thinks. Shower and thunderstorms are, this is wanting to show a line of storms coming through middle Georgia the next 24 hours with a pretty substantial amount of rain in the southeast and maybe somewhere in Texas. So let's go to the convection wound model. A little bit closer look here. More storms in the Mid-Atlantic, and this model isn't really showing what the European was, but you just never know how these going to play out. Really not a lot to talk about as far as severe weather, or except for flooding concerns up in the Mid-Atlantic and a few other places. That being said, we're going to move on to the flood risks next. The flood risk is quite high, actually. This is a moderate risk. Virginia, North Carolina, a good portion of the Mid-Atlantic, and down to the southeast, South Carolina, Georgia, slight risk, and a large portion of the rest of the country, marginal risk. This moderate risk concerns me, given we just had, and it's probably partly due to the fact that they already had a bunch of rain there as a result of Chantal, and the grounds are saturated. So moving into day 2, we have slight risk up here in the upper Midwest, up into the northern tier. Again, in the Mid-Atlantic, which is not good. And then marginal risk. It says here, just heat advisory. In the Mid-Atlantic, upper Midwest again, northern tier, Great Lakes, and along the front range of the Rockies down into New Mexico and Texas. Going to day 4 and 5. The threat moves into the middle part of the country, again in the upper Midwest and the Ohio Valley in New Mexico, northeast Texas, and day 5. Hopefully this plays out. There's not, we've had plenty of flooding over the past several days. We could really use a break from that. As far as severe weather goes in the coming days, for today, slight risk along the northern tier states. Again, in the Mid-Atlantic, marginal risk in a good portion of the upper Midwest and Great Plains. Chance of thunderstorms, marginal risk actually down into Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, up into the northeast Mid-Atlantic area, and also on the Great Lakes. This is primarily driven by wind threat, with a hatch risk for winds 10%, 10% or greater chance of 60 knots or greater winds, was like 80 miles an hour in the hatched. And then when you look at the hail, same thing here. These are all 5% risk in the brown. And then tornado threat, small tornado threat, 2% up here in North Dakota, South Dakota. Day 2, tornado threat moves to the south into Nebraska. Wind threat still along the northeast corridor and Mid-Atlantic, southeast, slight risk North Carolina, South Carolina, slight risk North Dakota, Nebraska. Hail all in northern tier to the Midwest, the Great Plains. for precipitation forecast. This is just a cumulative precip. You can see where the biggest areas are for today. Forecasting upwards of 2+ inches on mid-Atlantic, hence the flood risk. Day 3, you can see where the areas are highlighted. So, wherever these maximum rainfall estimates are for precipitation for the next 3 days is where your biggest flood risk will be. That's all I have for today, really. I kind of used a different format today and tried to put some different stuff together. The most of the weather in the U.S. is driven right now by really a lot of different areas of flooding and severe weather, localized severe weather, wind and things like that. With the tropics being kind of quiet right now, let's just hope that the flooding risk subsides some and we get a break from that, because there's been quite a bit of devastation over the past several days. Hope you have a good day.